Welcome to the Coffee and Transit podcast. I'm your host, Kara Elizabeth, aka Manifestor Kara. I'm a 3-5 emotional manifestor here to ignite you into your best year yet, and sharing transit with whoever's willing to listen. Each week, I'll go over key pieces of transit through the lens of human design, mainly what gates the sun and earth are transiting, with the intention that it helps to prepare you for the week ahead, providing you with the opportunity to step into flow with the current energies and to make the most out of each week of your year. So are you ready to hit the easy button on life? If that was a yes, then what are we waiting for? Let's begin. All right, you guys. So are y'all ready to experience another week of moi? Okay, well, regardless, that's what we're going to be experiencing. So I have both of these once again, and anyone who knows me will definitely see and notice this type of energy coming from me probably on a day-to-day basis. So anyways, let's just go ahead and begin. So this week, our main experience, which is going to be our sun transit, is moving through gate 51. This is known as the gate of shock, and yes, it is exactly how it sounds. And Jenna Zoe references this one as the shaker upper, which, yes, can concur. Now, we are then transiting or grounding in gate 57. This is the one that's transiting through the earth this week. So from now through the next 6 days, this is going to be our experience. So let's go ahead and get comfortable here, shall we? All right, we shall. So, gate 51, the shaker upper, or the gate of shock. So, the gift that 51 gives us is an ability to make an impact on people, whether you try to or not. So, main experience for us this week, so get ready. You are going to be a very daring individual human being who has come here to color outside the lines and help us all do the same. Well, yes, I have. And yes, we have. Welcome. All right, so Jenna Zoe says of this one, most of the time, what humans call life is actually a very small frame that they have accepted and squeezed themselves into physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And they won't be expanded out of that, much less busted out of that, unless someone shakes them up a little bit and, you guessed it, that's your job. It's the role of an enlightener. Maybe you do that by shocking them, maybe by being a little daring, direct, or controversial, or maybe just by waking people up to new truths. The right way to do this gift is the one that feels authentic to you. None of these are better or worse, and if you do them with heart and compassion, you are being a light worker. Now, how can we make the most out of this energy? And that is by making friends with your ambition. I don't know why I'm giggling like that, but let's just roll with it, shall we? Okay. So, your soul chose to want to make an impact on people because following that is part of you becoming your highest self. So don't judge your desire to impact people as bad or question whether you're worthy of impacting people. It's not really about you anyways. The universe has already allocated this gift to you, so you may as well just accept that and do something beautiful with it. Impact is what will ensure that your essence, through your words, contributions, and actions, reaches people the way that it is meant to. Now, what can block this gift? And that is negative associations you've been given with being impactful. More conditioning here, folks. All right. So she says that people tend to judge, shame, or shut down this kind of big shaker-up quality, mostly because they're afraid of being shaken out of their own comfort zones. Hello. Have I experienced this more than once in my lifetime? I swear to God, if I was not in this lifetime and in another, I would have been burned at the stake probably 20 times over by now, you guys, because of this energy right here. Okay, let's continue. The thing with normalcy is that it's comfortable and knowable. So you fear your impactful side because other people fear it. But it's one of those fears where, as real as they'll feel to people, once they're introduced to a bigger box, it's like they forget all about that fear altogether. So you are a person who has this power to instantly up-level people's boxes. But in order to do that, you have to embrace that side and trust when the universe is prompting you to be in that gift. Shed the stories that you may have inherited that being this way makes you unintelligent or attention-seeking. And remind yourself there's nothing inherently bad with wanting impact, wanting to be shocking, arousing, controversial. It depends on the intention that you plug into it. The more that you do it in a good way, the more the world will get to re-understand this quality for what it is. And now another way that we can block ourselves here is by being shocking simply out of boredom or because you yourself just want to feel something. So she says, do it when your heart is truly calling you to. Misuse of this gift is what we will get the negative results that we normally associate with people who are shocking and impactful. Okay. So with that being said, I can tell you let me just give you like one big example of how I've experienced stepping into this in my lifetime and also having to get over this fear of like basically the ramifications and consequences of being impactful. Okay. So there's obviously like a deep rooted, seated fear within myself. And it's really just because, I've got pretty much all the fear centers coming out of my spleen as well, like all of the gates. So I have this fear of death and dying. And, obviously, women who were different and who brought things to the table that were new and outside of the box, so to speak, they were typically harmed, by people in power. Like that's when like all of the fire and brimstone and pitchforks came into play. And that is something that has kind of stuck with me throughout this lifetime. And I don't know if that's from a previous lifetime. I don't know if that's just wounds in the genetic pool of things. I mean, I don't really know how that works, but regardless, there's just like this inherent fear of like when I share this gift, and I'm usually consistently trying to shock people out of these boxes that they've put themselves in. Because not only am I a manifestor meant to do this, this is like the double whammy for me meant to do this. So I've got like double the power. Plus this gate's coming out of the heart center, which is extremely powerful center in itself. So I mean, there's a lot of power contained in this little body over here, you guys. And I can tell you that the space that I have been called to utilize this in the most is within religion, and the church, and specifically Christianity. Where I live in this country, the US of A, and I'm right smack dab in the middle of the Bible Belt. Just on my street alone, there are 3 denominations of churches. So I've got a Baptist, Presbyterian, and Methodist church on my street, you guys. And the population in my town is maybe a little over 100 people. And we have 3 churches, okay? So if that just shows you where I'm meant to use this gift the most in this lifetime, that I was somehow plopped right smack dab in the middle of this, y'all, it's wild. It's wild. But it's not just this. I've experienced this my whole life. Because, religion is just something that has always fascinated me. Now, I'm not going to get into, whether, I'm not getting into the wrongs, the rights, none of that. Let's just say it for what it is. It's religion, it's people's belief systems, and that is fine. I'm all for, standing for something and believing what you believe in. I'm not trying to change that at all. And a big calling of mine is me going almost infiltrating the churches, within my communities. And I've been doing this since I was a kid and didn't really realize it, until like the last few years. Is like, I've gone to so many different churches, so many different denominations of churches. I've even gone to non-denominational churches, and I've interacted with people, I've spoken with people, and the trend is they're inside this box. And here I come, who, someone who is enjoying that container, but then also enjoying what's outside of that container too. And, what's outside of that container is something that, people of the church typically tend to fear. Like a lot of these folks have, been born into their religion. They trust their beliefs, they trust what they've been told, and that's okay. And here I come, and I come with questions, because I feel it's only fair that, if you come to my door and tell me that I'm going to hell for my beliefs, I firmly believe that I'm allowed to have some questions about that and ask you those questions. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm sure you guys can put those little puzzle pieces together. And that is the space that you will find me typically shocking the shit out of people. And I can tell you, I have made a huge impact. Most of the time, it is an impact that is not enjoyed by either party. However, it is necessary because, you believe in, let's just say you believe in love, okay? Then I come in and I test your beliefs. Okay, that's the shock. That's where the shock comes in. I basically am going to come in and question you in a way that oftentimes I don't even understand what I'm doing. It's very intuitive. But I'm going to come in and question you, and it's almost like I poke holes in your actions, I guess. Trying to explain this in a way as to not step on any toes here, because that is definitely not my intention. My intention is simply to just bring awareness, but it is what it is. Shock, you're welcome. But let's just say you believe in love for all, but yet you hate a certain group of people, or you don't you don't allow them to be who they are, but then you expect them to be okay with your hatred and how you are. That doesn't work. And I'm going to be the one to call you out on it. So it's like you can find me just coming in real quick, making you question everything that you're doing, making you question everything that you believe in, and then walking right back out the door and leaving you to that. So that is the best way for me to describe this without getting too into the politically correctness, however you want to label it as. So try to do that as nicely as possible, but we shall see. All right, now let's just move right along. I feel like I spent way too much time on that as it is, but all right. So the Earth is transiting through gate 57, which is all about intuitive clarity. So this is where we're going to be grounding, and Jenna Zoe references this one as reading the room. So she says, these are people who can walk into any room and instantly read the vibes, people, and dynamics between the people. They have strong, predictive, intuitive hunches that come to them instantly, before they've even had time to mentally process it. So the gift of 57 is a type of intuition. If you have it, it means that you see or read the essence of something more easily than you see the thing itself. You just pick up on a feeling or vibe, and that's all you need to tell you everything that you need to know. And when you trust these feelings without needing to know why and how you're hearing them, you can let go of needing to have everything figured out, which is a big fixation of yours until you embrace this gift. you start to see that in any moment, you know the next move, and that's all you ever need to know. So you have so many antennae in you that the present situation is literally bursting with intel. Yep. You just need to put your full attention on where you are rather than on the imagined scenarios that your mind tells you to rehearse or escape to instead. Being fully present, even when it's uncomfortable, is the gift that reaps 1,000 more gifts. You are here to show us that when we soften and relax, all the wisdom and answers come to us. We don't have to push and struggle for them. We've been conditioned to believe that we can only be successful, powerful, and happy by being busy and fast-paced all of the time. And you're here to show us the power of softening and quieting. Once you really relax and just be fully wherever you are, you can feel the truth of the current energy so deeply that you can actually feel what's going to happen next. It's a gift that's very closely tied to the future, and you have a first look into it. So not only do I have the 26, which is taking experiences and information and predicting the future using, logic, probability. I also have this gift here, excuse me, where I'm using actual intuition. So, because this one's going to come out of the spleen, which is the intuitive center. So anyways, how can you best flex this gift? And that is by resisting the urge to explain away your intuitive feelings. The key here is to understand that you feel things just because you feel them. Our culture will make you want to explain yourself because we believe that smart people can explain their wisdom. You have to embrace the fact that what you pick up on can't ever be fully explained because it's coming from forces that are so much bigger than you. Oh my God, you guys, I can't even tell you how many times I have uttered the phrase, "Don't ask me how I know this." I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but here's what I'm feeling. Or I don't know how I know this, but this is what's happening. I feel this. This is it. And then, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. I feel like that is story of my life. It's like, I just know things. And, I'm also an open head, open ajna. So this is just where the contradictions come in within our charts, my charts, your charts. All of our charts contain very contradictory things. And it's so that we can learn how to balance somewhere in the middle. So, yeah, that happens all the time. So what can block us here in this gift? And that is future tripping. When you're still scared to just relax into your present situation, you can feel this deep fear of the future, which is really a fear of the unknown. Whew, I can concur that. So when you're putting your attention on your mind stories rather than on paying full attention to your current surroundings, you're disconnected from your intuition, which will create a sense of unease, the opposite of having trust in life, and this will manifest as a constant worry of what will happen and what will I do. And that, I can tell you, my friends, I have been there so many times. So if you are there this week, do not fret. It is okay. It is normal. All right? So just don't make yourself wrong for feeling this way. Even though she talks about this is what blocks it, I'm a firm believer that you can't block anything. So, if you're meant to be in this quote unquote blocked energy, then just accept that you're meant to be there and that it's not permanent. It's only temporary. And eventually you're going to move into a higher form of this energy when it's time. Okay? And this is all about intuition. Just trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your process. Okay? Because I'm a firm believer that we are meant to experience all aspects of these gates and the energy contained with them. And I do not believe that there is one side that's more positive than the other. So that is my advice to you this week, folks. You pay your doorman on the way out. All right, I'll crack myself up. Anyways, last but not least, there's one more thing that can quote unquote block us here, and that is focusing on the physical world too much. So we've been taught to focus so much on the physical as a means of trying to have control over our own lives. What everyone else is doing, saying, the agreed upon reality that we all participate in. And the more you can remind yourself that the physical is only a fraction of reality, the more tapped in you will become. All right, so can y'all see how this energy that we're grounding in, this intuitive energy, is like so supporting us in the sun transit this week of the gate of shock and the gate of the shaker upper. So not only are we just going to intuitively know when to bring out that shock in situations, this intuitiveness is also going to help us tap into present moment. It's also going to help us tap into thinking outside of the box. And it's also going to help us, if we've been stuck kind of in like doing what everyone else is doing, not following our own direction, which is basically the transit that we're coming out of. So like if you didn't get it the first time, you're probably going to get it this time. This is going to tap you into your intuition and the direction that, you're meant to go in. And, you're not going to understand why. You're not going to know why. That's not the point of the intuition. So the point of the intuition is that you get information and you just trust, sister, and roll with it. And I can tell you just from my own personal experience that when you begin following your intuition, it's going to lead you outside of the box every single time. Like something that I've learned is that like typically when your intuition speaks, it's not going to make logical sense. Like really ever. So it's like if you're getting like the illogical advice, it's more than likely coming from your intuition. So just don't even question it. Learn to not question it and follow it. And, as a third line, I invite you to just experiment with that and see what happens. It's like, what's the worst that can happen truly? Like it leads you somewhere to something that just doesn't work, or it leads you to a dead end. Okay, like that's going to happen. That never happens. Regardless, you're always being led somewhere. But, I just invite you to like play in this week. If you're not used to listening to your intuition or you've never tried it and, you're a mind listener, that's fine. But play in listening to that intuition. I mean, it's probably going to be a lot easier to do that anyways, and you'll probably not experience as much resistance. Maybe a little easier just doing that and tapping into that right now with this transit. Maybe not. Just try and see what happens. So, because I can tell you some pretty dope ass shit has happened when I can actually tap into this and shut my mind off for just a minute. It's pretty cool. I invite you to play there. All right, you guys. So that is transit this week. Good luck. And I'll see you guys later next week. Bye.